Good evening, welcome to the latest recorded edition of Last Bell Boxing. Today we're going to talk about Canelo and who his next fight's going to be. So this might be quite a lengthy list because everyone wants a Canelo ticket. So, Andrade, we'll come to you first. Who do you think he's going to jump in with next?
Makabu. And very simple. The fight's made. It's an easy night's work for Canelo. Makabu's a big lump, but that's all he is. He got found out by Tony Bellew, who absolutely destroyed him. And if Tony Bellew can destroy him, then Canelo will take him apart.
Makabu's got a fight before that, though, hasn't he? Late January.
Yeah, fighting. I mean, I don't understand the point of the warm up. Does that mean he's not fit? Does that mean he's not in shape?
Does that mean he's been signed?
He's clearly not ready. A bit odd that you've got the opportunity to fight the world's best on the biggest stage, get your biggest payday of your career, yet you want a warm-up fight against nobody and get paid nothing for it.
So is that
a banana skin? Is that a banana skin, that fight?
He could get cut or anything, couldn't he?
Yeah, he could. He could, and if that happens, then the fight will be off. But clearly, Canelo's got a plan. You don't skip a weight level at this level of boxing. You don't skip a weight level unless you know, or you're absolutely very, very confident that you win that belt easily. I
mean, nothing official's come out yet regarding this Makabu fight. So let's just work on the plan B.
Haven't there? So that tells you probably everything you need to know.
If it wasn't Makabu, who would you want him in with next?
I'd like to see him fight someone at light heavyweight. Does he stay away from the two animals at the division?
Let me answer that. Yes.
Yeah. But he won't fight anyone without a strap. That's the thing. Because what's the point at this point in Canelo's career? I mean, there's other rumours. We'll talk about it in another video in a little while. I don't see him going backwards, if I'm honest. I don't see him dropping weights. I think no matter what promoters say makes the most money, he don't need money. It's all about legacy for Canelo. Yeah, he makes a lot of money on his shows, regardless. Anyway, that's just that goes with the territory. It's about the rest of his career now is about picking up belts, nothing else, and he'll do it in the easiest way possible.
Yeah.
So he'll target who he believes is the weakest champion. I still think the Makabu fight's next, though, if I'm honest.
Okay. Chris, coming to you. What are your thoughts on his next fight?
Well, again, we just talked about the WBC and something which will air on Tyson Fury as well. And the WBC have accepted his, position here, and they've agreed the Makabu fight. It's well known he gets on well with Suleiman, so it's going to be Makabu. I suppose with this fight, we've got to look at what made him choose Makabu. He's not a tall guy, Makabu. He's only 6 foot. His reach is only 74 inches. So when we look at who he's actually fought recently, if we look at his last 3 opponents, he's fought Plant, who is 6'1". He's fought Smith, who is 6'3". He's fought Kovalev, who is 6 foot. They've all got reaches ranging between 70 and 74 inches. So he's kind of fought this opponent before. So
what about the weight difference, though, Chris? The weight difference.
That's the big thing that I was just going to come to. When you look at what they fought at, the biggest thing that Canelo's fought so far is 174.5 against Kovalev. Makabu is solid at 200 pounds. That 25 pounds is the kind of only thing which really makes this an intriguing fight, and one where we think, if Makabu lands, say, one single shot, does he actually manage to chin Canelo? We don't know how his body is going to actually react to that weight because, Canelo's only 5'7". He's reported at 5'8", but they do say he's 5'7". How does he pack into that frame, £200, and how does it look? So I think this fight's not necessarily one which, who do I think he'll fight next? I think this one will be the one he's chasing. It's how does his body react with £200 on it? Because he looked pretty solid as a light heavy. I don't think
not only that, Chris. How does he then drop back down once he's packed that weight on?
Well, we've seen it with Roy Jones and what happened with him after Ruiz. He was gone after John Ruiz's fight, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he couldn't do anything because you have to strip muscle, and when you start stripping muscle, your body starts to eat itself. That's the only way you can get rid of muscle. So for me, I'm quite worried about the fight. Yeah, it's a legacy fight, but what happens when you move back down in weight? Because there's no way he's going to be a career cruiser. Because you look at it, is he going to fight Dorticos? Is he going to fight Bredis? Absolutely not. He's going to stay as far away from these guys as possible. And then what will he do? He'll probably drop back down to, one would assume, light heavyweight. Is he going to fight Bivol? No. Would you fight Bivol after you were dropping £25? Absolutely not. Would you fight Berbatov after he dropped £25? God, no. So what does he do here? He's chasing legacy, as you say, Andy, but I really don't know the rationale behind the fight, other than to say, I've got another weight belt, and I'm now a 5-division champion. It's not even like it's history anymore, because Tommy Hearns had 6 weights, but people discount him, because it was an IBO title or a WBO title he won. So is he actually even chasing something that people care about anymore?
And I think he's definitely got a ceiling in terms of weight division, because he don't look great at 175, does he? Let's be honest, he don't look great.
But I think it's one of those fights as well where I think against Kovalev was outboxing him, but he's very, very smart, and he knew that Kovalev was coming off the Yard fight, and it was a quick turnaround, and I think there was a certain degree of him just letting Kovalev blow himself out to a point. But again, one could say he didn't look fantastic at 175 at all. So it's going to be an interesting fight, because what if Canelo does what he does and pushes Maccabi onto the ropes and goes to try and work the body, and Maccabi chins him, because Maccabi's got a punch.
I mean, in Goodison that night, Maccabi started very, very well. He actually dropped Bellew, didn't he?
He did.
He got a bit sloppy after that.
Bellew got a bit sloppy. He was square on, and I mean, but Bellew says he broke his nose.
I don't think he did,
No, I don't think he did either. And he didn't look hurt in the slightest, Bellew, when he got put down. I think he was off balance. He wasn't expecting it. Does he punch hard?
I think he does, because if you look at his record, he's had 30 fights, 28 wins, 2 losses, and 25 KOs. But the difference with Maccabi is a lot of these opponents we've never seen, because fighting down in Africa, you just don't know who you're fighting. Nigel Benn used to call them Mexican road sweepers. I think his record's made up with a lot of Mexican road sweepers, as it were. So you just don't know how he's going to react. But the one thing, give him his due, he's come back since the Bellew lost Maccabi and picked up the WBC title. He's on a reasonable run of form. But
again, he's not fought anybody, has he? He's not fought the big boys.
He's handpicked.
He's stayed away from everybody. For me, he doesn't have the ring IQ to touch Canelo, and that's why Canelo's taking the fight.
But then again, at this moment in time, does anybody have the ring IQ for Canelo? I've never seen someone cut a ring off like Canelo, have so subtle head movements as Canelo. He is really at the top of his game.
I think Bivol has. I like Bivol. Bivol's got a lot of ring IQ.
But do you not think Bivol's got quite an Eastern European style, which Canelo would be able to work out quite quickly?
I just think Bivol has got the boxing IQ and the size to keep Canelo off. I know I don't want to drift too far into this, but Beterbiev, he's fought fighters like him who are big punchers and come forward fighters. I think Bivol is a bit of a. You'll have to work him out. That's what I'm saying.
I don't think
he's good enough to do it.
Bivol's an interesting opponent, isn't he? Because I think he gets bored in the ring, because we've seen him when he was fighting in, say, Monaco on one of those quiet shows which Eddie Hearn insisted on putting on, and when he fought Richards, when he wasn't up for the fight, I think his performance showed that. But I think give him a decent opponent,
I agree.
Then we'll see a different Bivol.
I've said that many a time on this show that he wasn't even in first gear against Richards. I think he gets better the better the opponent he faces.
Do you think that Canelo? Sorry, do you think that Canelo is playing for time with Bivol and Beterbiev?
No, I think he's playing for legacy, as you highlighted earlier on.
But we're talking about he's going to handpick which fighters he takes the belts off, or which fighters he tries to take belts off. Is he waiting a couple of years?
Sorry,
is he waiting for him to drop that little bit?
Yeah,
but Bivol won't, will there? Beterbiev maybe, because he's getting on a little bit, but Bivol won't in the next couple of years. If anything, you could argue
in that last fight, mate. I don't think he's the fighter he was.
He
I
think
he'll get better. I think Bivol gets better. Beterbiev might start sliding because of his age, but I tell you, I bet you what, I bet he jumps in with Beterbiev before he jumps in with Bivol, if he fights any of them.
Yeah, because Beterbiev is kind of like a come forward style. You know, he's quite one paced, one dimensional in some respects, actually. You know, in terms of what he does.
The timing coming in, wouldn't it? The timing eventually.
And that's what Canelo and Eddie Reynoso work on, isn't it? They work on time and they work on counter punching. So you could see it being quite an interesting fight. But yeah, Andy, you might be right. Timing is everything in this sport, isn't it? But then again, Canelo's had a long career. And at one point, you know, one's got to think if he does go up to 200 pounds here, then drops back down to 175, he's going to have at least, surely, 2 easy fights, 2 pick-me's to allow his body to resettle.
Yeah,
well, he's got to do something like that, or take a lot longer between fights than he currently does.
Yeah. He maybe needs someone like another kind of Avi Yildirim type opponent. You know, to come back from
the challenge that Canelo's got now is that he's been jumping in with all these champions. People don't like it, do they, when he jumps in with a Yildirim? He gets a lot of bad press for it.
Yeah. But,
so, right, guys, that's the end of the Canelo video. Okay, as ever, guys, we go live Thursdays at 7 p.m. for anybody who wants to join us live on camera. I'll say ta-ra.